It is Saturday, January 18th. We just got done watching the Lions game. Not going to lie, kind of sucked. I will get into it in a second.
Turn that off. It's time for No Pad Sports Talk. Stay tuned as two brothers bring you the latest from your Michigan teams and beyond in hockey, baseball, football, and more. Let's get started. Here are your hosts, JD and Steve.
Alrighty then. Well, welcome everybody back to another edition of No Pad Sports Talk. We just got done watching the Lions lose to the Commanders. And yeah, I don't know how long this video is going to be, but nonetheless, it's something we have to make a video about. I think more than anything, there's a lot of disappointment on our end. And
I mean, it's bittersweet for me, I guess, because I truly wanted the Lions to win. They've had such a great 2 years, really, 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Right? And it just felt like it was going to be their time.
It did.
Things were coming together. Even with all the injuries that they worked through, they made it and finished where they did. But on the other side of that, most everybody that's listened to this show knows that I've been a Washington Commanders fan since I was a little kid. So that's where that bittersweet piece comes in, because they've not been this deep into the playoffs since 1991. I've had two losing teams for a really long time, right? So here I am, wishing that the Lions had won, and still happy that the Commanders are in it with an opportunity to get to the Super Bowl.
And let's just start there real quick, because look, of course we're a Detroit station, Michigan. This is what we do. We talk Michigan sports. However, before we start talking about the Lions, I think we have to talk about the Commanders and just say, honestly, outplayed us and outcoached us. And I think especially outcoached us. I don't say that too often about our coaches. I have a lot of respect for both of our coordinators, but
yes,
in this game, we were 100% outcoached. And I want to start by basically saying that the Commanders, they came into a hostile environment and they walked away victors. It's not easy. And I just want to, even though we're going to be talking about the Lions and where they failed to execute, I just want to preface everything by saying, we're talking about the Commanders first. They played well. They didn't make mistakes. They earned the win. Nobody gave it to them.
That's right.
And so I just want to say to all the Commanders fans and the players, coaches, etc., look, congratulations to you guys. Great game by you. Of course, I hate to see it, but I can't take anything away. You guys played one heck of a game.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of where I want to start the show. It's just congratulating Commanders.
I have not seen that team play that well on all facets all season, right? I mean,
except for the kicking, right? That was the biggest problem. Kicked the initial kickoff out of bounds, missed a couple field goals. Like that was the only problem, really. But everything else, they just nailed.
Right. So it was congratulations to them. I'm excited. I'm actually pulling for the Rams to win tomorrow.
Me too.
So, and then it'll be my brother against me for the NFC Championship game, because he's going to continue to go for the Rams. And what's really, I know we're getting off topic a little bit, but if that were the NFC Championship game,
it'd be awesome.
Think about the two defensive teams. There's a lot of youth on those teams.
If anybody listens to the show, I've been talking about the Rams and the Rams. Like when the Lions played the Rams, I've been saying it since that game. That defense was impressive. Even though the Lions won that game, the defense impressed me. And from that day, I've been saying, once this defense gets a little more experience, they'll be scary good. And the defense, obviously, they're coming around. They're getting really, really good. And they're still so young, right? Like, 2-3 years from now, they could be one of the top defenses in the league. But nonetheless, I've been impressed by the Rams, and I've been, like my brother said, I've been with the Rams all year.
Yeah. And he says in 2 or 3 years. In 2 years, half the Rams team will be on their rookie contract.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's how young that team is. So I'm really hoping that that's what we're going to see. But, you know, the game we saw tonight, the Lions made mistakes, right? So
can I just jump in? I'm sorry, real quick.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Because you mentioned mistakes, and at the very beginning of the game, I have to put this out there, right? I messaged you at the first play. Why is Montgomery starting? I don't understand it. Again, like we were talking before we came live to do a video. I'm not saying that Gibbs would have had any more success than Montgomery did on that first series because the defense just got a lot of penetration. But he's still a better back than Montgomery, and it's not close. It's not close. There is no reason why Montgomery started that game, and that's one of the ways that we were outcoached. Is Gibbs is, as much respect as I have for Amon-Ra St. Brown, as much respect as I have for Jared Goff, right? The offense runs through Gibbs, period. He can run, he can catch, and he's not a terrible blocker. Like, he can run between the tackles. He's got the speed to run outside. He's got moves, but more importantly, he has patience and vision. The guy is one of the best backs in the league. He runs the offense. And by not having him on your first drive of the game, you just handicapped yourself. That's all it was.
And even in the pregame guys, we're talking, even they said that Gibbs, like the coaching staff said Gibbs would have the majority of the touches. He'd be the featured back. And if he was your featured back, why wasn't he in the starting series?
He needed to be. He needed to be. And like I was telling you too, I know most of the plays are scripted right from practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's not much variance from what you planned to do your first series. Like those plays are set in stone more or less.
Those 15 to 20 plays is like that's what they're running.
Right. But I would still rather have Gibbs in the backfield. Right. I don't know. But that's where I wanted to start. That to me was like, out of all the coaching decisions, that was just the wrong decision to make in this game. I'd say that was number one. And I'll get to number two later on when we start talking about the game. But that was by far, I thought, just the first mistake gone wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the two red zone turnovers are just, they're deadly, right?
Yeah.
So the fumble, I texted you as soon as it happened. And it's just, I don't know why I did, but I just had that feeling that he got that first turnover and they were playing so well. He got the turnover and he got inside his head. And then all of a sudden that's all he could think about, right? And I'm like, I hope he doesn't turn into the turnover machine. And what happened?
He did.
He did, right? Three interceptions, a fumble, and that's five turnovers total in this game.
Yeah.
5 turnovers total, right?
And not one by Washington.
Not one, right? Some of the bad penalties, the late hit on Daniels.
Yeah.
That was, Pascal knows better. That was a stupid. I get you're frustrated. You're trying to chase this guy down, and he's elusive. But you know better, and you gave him that, right? The 12 men on the field. You got all these coaches trying to yell to get somebody off the field or call timeout. How come not one of them ran down to Campbell and said, we got 12 on the field, get a timeout?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could see in the video there was players and 3 coaches yelling at these guys to get. Tom Brady is yelling down from the booth, call a timeout. I'm like, I couldn't figure out why he was saying call timeout.
Yeah, that's the same thing I was thinking. Yeah.
Right? Because I just thought it was the clock, the play clock was running down for Washington. I thought he was thinking, well, hey, Washington needs to call a timeout.
Exactly what I was thinking. Yes.
Right? But then all of a sudden, the flag came just before the ball snapped, and you're 12 men on the field, automatic first down. Right? Like those penalties, those types of penalties, and the turnovers were the end game. Amik Robinson went down with the elbow injury early.
Mm-hmm.
He had who else came? He had some guy who's played one snap all season now has to come in, right?
Yeah.
Because Malifamu went out.
Malifamu went out. Yeah.
Right. So we had more losses on the defense again, right? And that's what penalties, turnovers, and the lack of. I don't want to say it's the lack of depth because we were just injuries finally caught up to the Lions. Injuries finally caught up to the Lions. We could not stop that Washington offense at all.
Nope. We could not.
One time. Right? And it was in the second half when we did it. We're like, hey, this is good. We're going to go down. We scored. We got back within 3. And then that was it. That was the end of the game. It was as close as we ever got.
Mm-hmm. Well.
So stuff like that just pisses me off because they're a better team than that. When you get hurt and you have these injuries, you got nobody left, right? You bring your 53 man, and they were already running there on their 40, their 70th guy because of all the injuries right?
Yeah.
They have run through their practice squad guys twice with the number of injuries that they've had.
Well, you're exactly right. But I also want to mention, again, we're talking about the mistakes players made. He did, also mention about why the coach doesn't go down there and get Campbell to call a timeout. But I want to make another point over a mistake that a coach made. And that was Ben Johnson. Look, we all know we love Ben Johnson.
We do. And I know I assume he's not going to stay. I hope he does. But look, even though I hope he stays and I got a lot of respect for the guy, I'm going to call him out when he does something stupid. And I'm going to call him out here. All right? Yep. Look, trick plays are cute and I like them. They're fun to watch. And the only trick play that I can remember thinking was a stupid trick play all year came in this game. And that's what Jamo, right? Look, I call him Jamo. I know it's Jamo, but I always call him Jamo. It's my thing because I started calling him Jamo before it came up as Jamo. I don't know. It's just what I did, right? But when they try to have him throw the ball, one thing we know about him as a player, he's not disciplined. He got so many dumb penalties this year too, right? And not just the penalties, but the stuff that had happened, which has been talked about ad nauseum. We're not going to get into it, but all that stuff that happened with him, the penalties that he's committed, now you're going to give him the chance to throw the ball. And being an undisciplined player, he's not going to make the right decision if the guy's covered. He's going to try to force it, which is exactly what he did. It got picked off. That's not a play for him. Do not let him throw the ball. That's it. Yeah. Well, since we're on him, the touchdown that he got, right? On that run was a really cool play, right? But did you see his touchdown celebration? That
when he jumped and flipped?
No. Looked like he was trying to have sex with the ground.
Oh, no. I didn't see that.
Tim Patrick was running over trying to yank his butt right up off the ground. It was Tim Patrick, and I think it was St. Brown, but it might have been a running back or Khalif Raymond. Either way, before he got another penalty for being stupid, right?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
That is stupid.
The camera was there. It was just quick enough, and then you saw the other guys come over and trying to yank him up, right? But it was there, and I saw it. So again, just proof of his still immaturity and his
Yes.
lack of decision making.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I don't.
you know,
I hated that. Like anyway. Again, that was a bad decision. Like you'd want like one thing that the coaches just in both of them, like coordinators. One thing they've been really good at all year was putting players in the best position to win, to utilize
correct.
their talents, whatever that is.
Yep.
And that doesn't happen that play. So
yeah,
I'm gonna call that out. I don't think that was the right call. That was it.
Yeah.
So
that's it. That the game was. I'm at a loss for words for really what to say on how to. I'm not saying that justify what happened. They just played bad, and like you said, they got out coached. They got outplayed. The Commanders wanted it more. They seemed more relaxed. Tom Brady, the guys up in the booth, they said it a bunch. They're playing with house money, right? Nobody expected them to be there, so they were super loose, and feeling good about it. And look, this is where they are.
Well, speaking of, look, we're going back to the Commanders again, but holy crap, man. Jaden?
Yeah, he had 200 yards passing in the first half. He only had another 100 in the second half because they were running the ball. We had the defensive stuff, so
absolutely was blown away by him. Like when
there was
Lions
no moment
blitzed,
too big.
No, he was not rattled by anything. He knew what the Lions were doing before they did it. He knew everything. Nothing confused the guy. He knew exactly where to go with the ball every time the Lions did. It was. Excuse me. It was impressive, and coming out when we did our draft show, I think you and I both stated. I don't want to put words in your mouth, so I'll just for me, I know I stated that I liked Jaden Daniels and I thought he had the most upside out of any quarterback in the draft, but I was more worried about his ability to run an offense and throw accurately.
Yes.
He made me look like a fool. That was it, right? Like, I mean, as a rookie, the stuff that he's doing right now is unreal. And, my God, dude, just when so we got Gibbs and our offense runs through him. The offense totally runs through Daniels.
Yes.
Right? For Washington. Because he can do it all, right? He's able to run, he's able to pass, and his passes are beautiful.
Yes.
Just that's it. Like they're absolutely beautiful passes when they go through the air. And they seem so effortless when he throws them too. I don't know. That was the most impressed I've been by a young quarterback, and I don't know how long, but it was amazing. Great performance by him.
Yeah, absolutely. But I guess we could kind of wrap up. But just the Lions. Well, no. The Lions.
No, you're right.
The Lions had good plays, right? Gibbs had almost 170 total yards, 2 touchdowns. Right?
Gibbs was awesome.
Yeah, Gibbs had a great game. It just Laporta contributed. He had that amazing catch in the end zone.
That was sweet.
Right? I mean, he just stabbed it with one arm, then he rolled. I mean,
it was sweet.
It was, yeah. I didn't even know. I was like, it was incredible. So,
and really, that was a good throwback off too, because he was getting hit and falling down when that throw happened as well.
Absolutely, right. He threw that just to get, he was open, but
yeah,
he did it going down.
Yeah.
Right. And it was funny because earlier in the Chiefs game, Mahomes did the same thing throwing to Travis Kelce. The difference is he hit Travis Kelce in the chest.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, no.
Either way, touchdowns were touchdowns.
Touchdowns are touchdowns. Yeah.
And between the two teams, they scored 42 points in one quarter. We knew that we were going to have to outscore teams, right? We knew it was going to be one of those. You have to get 1 or 2, maybe 3 stops. You got to get that many. If you could get that many stops, we were going to be able to score 30 points and we're going to be okay.
That's correct.
Right? But we didn't get those. We got 1.
Yeah, that was, again, Jaden Daniels effect.
It is.
Like he came up big on big third
He
downs, third down and
he
10 and stuff like that. He
it's
came up
almost
big.
like he played that game exactly the way it played out on the field before he even got out onto the field. That's how it felt, right? Like he was anticipating where people were at. He knew when to pull it. He knew when to run. He knew when to pitch. He knew when to throw. Like it, and then you could just see him on the sidelines. He was just completely like, I'm just oblivious to it. He was just relaxed.
Yeah, every time, like
It's
when
another
Detroit
game.
did pull close, there was like no concern on his face, just like,
None.
man.
He walked right back up there. Let's do this again. And then that's what they did.
Yeah,
Congratulations to them. The Lions, you had a great season. I thank you for the season that you gave us.
They had a
I
great
do.
season, but it ended in a very disappointing way.
It did. It did.
We all thought they were Super Bowl bound. I honestly thought they'd get past the Commanders. No matter who they were playing in the NFC Championship game, I knew that was going to be a tough game. I knew that could be where they got eliminated at. I really didn't think it was going to be this game. Oh, excuse me, but like we said at the very beginning, they got outplayed and outcoached. That's it. I mean, there's not much more to say. You know, it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
We'll have to see what the Lions do to one. You know, we got to check now to see what the coordinators are going to do. Are they going to go? Are they going to stay? Obviously, hope they stay. One more question before we wrap it up.
Yeah.
So Aaron Glenn was the darling of the NFL coaching potentials, right? Because of the defense that he did against the Vikings the last game. Now, this one, the defense did not look good. Do you think in any way that actually hurt him as a candidate for a head coaching job?
I'm going to go with no. And I say that only because general managers and teams understand the players that he had to work with because of the injuries to the defense. And I think they'll take that into consideration, right? You went down 2 more DBs or 2 more defensive players in this game. So I feel like some teams might, right? Maybe he's not the guy this time. Maybe he's, but I could say the same thing about, Ben Johnson. He called an okay game. And I don't know if it was just the execution, because again, that's what it all comes down to as well, right? Coach is coach, but players got to execute.
Right. But I guess what I'm saying, though, is Ben Johnson all year basically hasn't really made mistakes. I mean, like, he's been almost perfect every single game as far as what he was, for his play calling, right?
And even today,
it's been amazing.
I call him almost perfect. It was
again. I don't like the JAMA one, but other than that, I'm fine with the plays that he called.
Yep.
And I don't know whose call it was that Montgomery start. If that was his or Campbell's, probably Campbell's. Right. But nonetheless,
the head coach.
I don't agree with that either. But everything else I was fine with. But also what I'm saying though is Aaron Glenn wasn't talked about in the media, right? Of course, we don't know what goes on behind the scenes with teams. We don't, we're not insiders or nothing. We don't know what goes on there. As far as the media goes, the talk about Aaron Glenn being a head coach really heated up after the Vikings game. And then now this game happens. I understand the everything that he went through, but like even Tom Brady was saying, why doesn't Aaron Glenn switch more to a zone? He'd rather get dinked and dunked to death more than just give up the big play, because you're not able to, again, because of injuries and stuff like that, right? Like it's gonna be very difficult to play man up on those receivers, and he didn't, right? And of course he did play some zone, but he still did a lot of man blitz. So I guess what I'm saying is like, if you're unable to make adjustments to your personnel and what the opposing team is doing, I think that can hurt someone as far as a head coaching candidate goes.
Well, we've said that a lot about, I shouldn't say a lot, but even with Dan Campbell going for it on 4th down in certain situations, especially when it didn't work out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you do that? That's the way they coach, right? And what I think I felt like what Dan Campbell has done with fourth down, other teams have taken notice,
They have.
right? Like the Washington Commanders went for it on fourth down, third most in the league. Obviously, the Lions were number one, but the Commanders were number three, right? And it just becomes a mentality. Hey, we've got 4 downs to get where we have to go. Why are we not using 4 downs to get there, right? And they're so we've said that with other calls that have been made during games. So yeah, I think there's going to be some teams that are going to look at this game and say, yeah, he should have made some in-game adjustments. He wasn't able to make those in-game adjustments. He's going to be able to do that as a head coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also, being at the head coach level, you've got coordinators that you're going to bring in that are going to they're going to fit the way you coach, right?
Yeah, they should.
So they should. So I'm going to go with maybe. I would say there's probably a percentage of teams that just saw that game and says, okay, he's off our list.
Or at least if it's close, right? Let's just say, hypothetical, if you got someone like Ben Johnson versus Aaron Glenn, right? Like, and it's close, and who you want to hire, like, I think that game could hurt him in that way, as far as being like the final little factoid.
Like a decision maker. Yeah. Yep.
Well, yeah, it sucks. Hopefully Lions they bounce back next year. That's what we got to hope for as Lions fans.
Yeah.
And
we're going to be drafting late in the round again.
Yeah.
So there's going to be 4 teams left, so we're going to be probably 32, 31, 30, 29, probably 28, 27, 27, 28. And I say probably the later one because we're going to be 15-2 if they go by our record after they get kicked out. So from this round, I'm going to guess we're going to be picking like 28.
Makes sense. But yeah, so at any rate, we're going to just call it a show, guys. I mean, it's after midnight. We're tired, like, and what are we going to do?
Emotionally and physically tired.
Yeah, it is true. The emotion was just, but look, there's a lot of discussions we got coming up between, baseball's been going to spring training soon. Pitchers and catchers will be reporting. We got a lot of free agency news.
Can't believe what the Dodgers did.
Yeah, and the Pistons.
And the Pistons.
Right, like,
right.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about, guys.
Definitely.
With that being said, look out for tomorrow as well. We're going to try to do a baseball-centric show, and we'll just talk to you next time.
Yep. Take care, everybody.